Hey, what is going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this video, my sports Gematria. In this video, I'm going to go over the NBA game for Saturday, July 17th, 2021. I'm going to show you highlights of each side, and it's going to be up to you to determine who you think will win based on the numbers. I encourage you to add additional information on top of this if needed for you to feel confident in your own pick. And if for some reason you're curious to know who I'm picking in these games, you have to join my Patreon. My picks are always in writing, underlined, and italicized. For more information on that, please read the description of this video. I wish you guys the best of luck in your picks today. Let's go ahead and get into the games. We're going to be looking at Game 5 for the Bucks and the Suns. On this side of the screen is what I call my daily numbers, date numerology, Gregorian Hebrew calendar. This side of the screen is what I call my game numbers. So up the top here, how it's structured, or let's do this. Right here is the away team, their season record, their postseason record, their coach's record. In the middle here is the head-to-head between the two teams. And then at the bottom here is the home team, their season record, their postseason record, their coach's record. Up top here is just some information on the series. Game 5 tied 2-2. Someone's going to go 3-2 or 2-3. This is the 84th NBA playoff game. Home teams can either become 48-36 or 47-37 with a loss. And Game 6 will be the 85th NBA playoff game. If there's a Game 7, it'll be the 86th NBA playoff game. All right, so series tied 2-2. Kind of what we were expecting. And this being the 3 seed Bucks versus the 2 seed Suns, it makes sense that somebody in this series is going to go 3-2 or 2-3, like 32. It also makes sense as to Game 6 being the 85th game for the NBA playoffs because of this. 32 sums to 85. Someone's going to go into the 85th NBA playoff game 3-2 for the series, like 32. This being the 3 seed versus the 2 seed. Today on the Hebrew civil calendar is the 302nd day, which kind of has that 32 look to it. I talked about in my other picks preview videos that Bucks, if they even the score 2-2, this could be an opportunity for the Bucks coach to get his 302nd all-time loss for his career on the 302nd day of the Hebrew civil if they tie the series 2-2 heading into Game 5. Now that I have the numbers built out for Game 5, I see some numbers for the Bucks to win Game 5 actually, which is kind of makes me nervous a little bit, and it all has to do with the Hebrew civil calendar. I was looking at the 302, thinking it was going to be easy for the Bucks come in here and get their coach to get his 302nd loss on the 302nd day, but there is 157 date numerology on the Hebrew civil. And with the win, Bucks can become 15-7 for a playoff record this season with the win. On top of that, they can get their 141st all-time postseason win as a team, and it is the 8th day of the 11th month on the Hebrew civil. 811 is the 141st prime number. Another number that sums to 141 is the number 28, sums to 141. And Suns would get their 28th loss for this season as Bucks get their 141st win as they become 15-7. Suns would sit on 65 wins for the season. It is a day with 65 date numerology on the Gregorian. Remember, I talked about that if Suns were going to lose Game 4 and the series be tied 2-2 heading into Game 5, it'd probably be because they're going to be sitting on that 65 heading into a day with 65 date numerology. So there are some numbers here for the Bucks. Interestingly enough, I thought it was going to be an easy look for the Suns here in Game 5, but not so much. Not so much. You got the 65-28, you got the 141, you got this 15-7 here. 57 date numerology. There's definitely some numbers here. It is the 8th day of the 5th month on the Hebrew religious, like 85. So again, it makes sense that somebody in this series is going to go 3-2. 32 like 8 and 85, the 3 seed versus the 2 seed. Hebrew religious has 34 date numerology. That could be Bucks getting their 34th loss maybe. I still kind of like that 302 for the Bucks coach, but this 141 and this 28 is throwing me through a loop for sure. If the Suns were going to win this game, game 5, I would expect them to also win game 6. The reason I say that is because if we go to game 6 numbers, which is right here, played on Tuesday, the 20th, game 6 is a day leaving 164 left in the Gregorian year, which is also the 201st day of the Gregorian year. The words Phoenix Suns, if I can spell it correctly, the words Phoenix Suns sums to 164. Game 6 will be a day leaving 164 left in the Gregorian year. It will be the 201st day of the year. 201 sums to 166, and it also sums to 67. And if Suns win game 5, it would set them up to get their 67th win for the series in game 6 on the 201st day of the year. 201 sums to 67. And Suns would also become 16-6 for a playoff record this season if they win game 5 and game 6. 201 sums to 67 and 166. So that's what I'm kind of looking towards. If Suns win game 5, I'm probably going to be looking towards them to win game 6 as well because of the 201 and the 164. It would also be a day with 48 date numerology on the Gregorian. And if Suns win game 5 and pick up the 48th home win, home teams can sit on that 48 in game 6 with the 48 date numerology, a day leaving 48 left on the Hebrew Civil, and this game would be played in Milwaukee, and Suns would be the road team. And so the home team could sit on that 48. Let's go back to game 5 numbers. I didn't see a whole lot for the Suns here in game 5, honestly. It would be future projection for the 67 and the 166. Like I said, there's some interesting number for Bucks, the 141, the 28. But remember, this is the 75th NBA season, and Bucks are sitting on 75 all-time head-to-head wins against the Suns now that they've beat the Suns twice so far. And it being the 75th NBA season, the chances of Bucks sitting on that 75 are pretty good, I think. And it could set up the Suns to go ahead and go get that 78 and that 79. I've said this in every single one of these pick preview videos. 79 and 75 are identical in all 4 base ciphers. This being the 75th NBA season, wouldn't be surprised to see the Suns win and they become 79-75 head-to-head against the Bucks overall all time. And then Suns for game 5, they can get their 148th postseason win as Bucks get their 148th postseason loss as Bucks become 14-8 for a postseason record this season. But the same thing could be applied to the Suns. Suns can sit on 147 postseason wins as they become 14-7 for a playoff record this season with a loss. So that kind of just goes either way. With this being game 5, Bucks, this is their 48th away game. This is the 84th NBA playoff game. 48, 84, just reflections of each other. Maybe that's where this 48 home win comes in for the Suns, for the NBA playoff teams. And then in game 6, the 48 sits because it's 48 date numerology and a day leaving 48 left on the Hebrew Civil. But for game 5 specifically, the biggest trick is going to be the Hebrew Civil calendar, just because it's the 8th day of the 11th month with 157 date numerology, and also it's the 302nd day. All 3 of those numbers are in play here, whether it's for the Bucks or against the Bucks. Bucks coach can get that 302 on the 302nd day, or they can just simply become 15-7, and the Bucks can get that 141, 811, the 141st prime number. And then Suns would get that 28th loss. 28 sums to 141 as well. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I didn't see a whole lot for the 34. Although if Bucks do lose game 5 and they do lose game 6, they would get their 34th, and then they would get their 35th loss in game 6 as they get their 149th postseason loss, which is 149, the 35th prime number, as they become 14-9 for a playoff record with the loss. The word Suns sums to 35, and so maybe they get that 35th loss in Game 6 against the Suns for that 149, 35th prime. Suns would get their 149th all-time postseason win to go with, as they become 16-6, get their 67th on the 201st day. 201 sums to 166 and 67. So if we go back to Game 6, Game 6 numbers does have 32 date numerology on it. 32, the sums to 85. It will be the 85th NBA playoff game. 85, funny enough, 85 sums to 154, and it will be the 154th all-time head-to-head matchup between these two teams in Game 6. 85 also sums to 62, and if Suns win Game 5 and Game 6, they beat 6-2 head-to-head against the Bucks for the season. But vice versa, if Bucks win Game 5 and Game 6, they would be 6-2 head-to-head against the Suns in the postseason in the playoffs. So that goes either way, I guess. I think Game 5 is a little tricky, you guys. Game 5 is a little tricky. Trickier than I anticipated it to be. I'm still liking Suns in Game 5, and if Suns win, I'm most likely going to pick them in Game 6 to close it out. But there definitely are some numbers here for Bucks in Game 5, and it's definitely not as easy as I was wanting it to be, or as easy as I was expecting it to be. We might have to rely on some faith when it comes to the 75 number, and might have to rely on some faith with the 67 and the 16-6. But one thing for the Suns in Game 5, if they do win, they become 15-6 for a postseason record this season, 15-6, and they do it against Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee, if I know how to spell. Just got a Milwaukee Bucks sums to 156, also sums to 48, and it being the 48th away game for the Milwaukee Bucks, Suns can become 15-6 for a playoff record, as they get the 48th home win for home teams in the NBA playoffs. The 84th game, 84-48 reflections of each other. 156-48 Milwaukee Bucks, and it would be coming off of a tie game, 2-2, or tied series 2-2. But that's what I have for right now. Just a quick look at it. Game 5 is a little tricky here, but there are some numbers for the Suns, and there's definitely some numbers for the Bucks. So I wish you guys the best of luck in your pick and your decision for Game 5, and I'll see you guys in Game 6.